So I finally saw Cats over the weekend. The movie, not the musical, the stage musical. And I'm not happy about it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Mystery Writer speaking, and welcome to the review of Cats. Wow, I have truly hit the bottom of the barrel. Hollywood has hit the bottom of the barrel. This movie sucks! So I'm really not going to get into the plot of the movie because there really isn't that much of a plot. Now, there really isn't that much of a plot in the original musical itself, being based off a series of poems by T.S. Eliot, one of the greatest literary authors of the 20th century. So it lent itself to be a very surreal experience. I actually grew up with the Cats musical. While I have not actually seen it in person, I did grow up with the recorded version that came out in 1997, I believe it was. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was basically just watching the musical, the stage musical on TV, pretty much, or in the movie theater. Yes, you can see Broadway musicals, operas, and plays at movie theaters. The more you know. When I first heard that the Cats musical adaptation was going to be made, I was actually excited. I'm like, oh, okay, well, about time. And then I heard the casting. I'm like, okay. Judi Dench, not bad. Jennifer Hudson, not bad. Taylor Swift. Why is she attached to this? And that's when you start suspecting that something might be off, but you kind of shrug it off like, okay, yeah, I mean, she has star power, yeah, why not? Yeah, and then all of a sudden, you see the first trailer. My gosh, that first trailer. Oh, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? What were they thinking with those designs? Again, when I first heard of this musical being made into a movie, I thought, oh, okay, this would be a great opportunity for someone to flex their makeup making marvelous muscles, you know? It would have been a great movie to demonstrate some great FX makeup effects. But instead, we got a bunch of CGI monstrosities, and they turned Cats the Musical into nothing more than a tech demo for special effects that no one asked for. Hollywood, get it through your head. People are sick and tired of CGI. Okay? We don't want every blockbuster to have a bunch of CGI. You don't need every single movie to have CGI in it. If CGI is necessary, yes, put it in the movie. But if you can do it practically, and if you have talented people within your industry that can make it happen, such as the Academy Award winner Rick Baker, yes, I know he's retired and everything, but trust me, there are other people like Fee Neal and other talented makeup artists that can create masterful creature effects for you. Instead, you relied on terrible, ugly CGI effects that no one asked for. Hell, even the furries, yes, the furries, have disowned this movie. That's when you know this movie is bad. When even the furry community is not even touching this movie. And they're all over stuff like Zootopia, which is a good movie, by the way. That's actually a good movie. Cats is not a good movie. But it's more than just ugly special effects with terrible creature designs that, oh my gosh. Again, what were they thinking? What were they smoking when they came up with these designs? Look at these things. They're disgusting. They're horrifying. This is more horrifying than anything in the Conjuring universe. I mean, this This makes the nun look like an actual nun, which to some people may actually be scary. Think about that for a minute. And the thing is, with the cinematography that they had, is just so meh. It's just average cinematography, and it really doesn't help to bring the environments or any of the characters to life. It's just standard cinematography for a modern musical, and it's just meh at best. It really doesn't help. So yeah, the lighting also sucks. It's a bunch of reds and yellows and tries to make everything atmospheric, but in reality, it just makes everything look stupid. It honestly does make everything look stupid. Ugh. And to make matters worse, they wasted a perfectly good cast. Yeah. Judi Dench, Idris Elba, James Corden, Rebel Wilson, Sir Ian McKellen. What happened? What happened? What happened? I don't get it. How could everyone in this movie be terrible? A bunch of these people are Academy Award nominated actors. Some of them have even won. How could they be this bad? Everyone is so bad in this movie. It's like they're trying way too hard to be cats. I mean, sure, in the original musical, yeah, they acted cat-like and interacted with one another like cats and slightly on the suggestive side, but it wasn't overly distracting or anything like that. In this movie, on the other hand, my gosh, they are actually trying way too hard to be cats. There are even moments that just really weird moments and where they just hiss at each other and just start meowing out of nowhere despite having been talking English the entire time. You just sit there and you're like, what am I watching? What? Oh, poor Judi Dench. Why did they make her legs like that? My gosh. Oh. Oh. And to top it all off, they ruined two of my favorite characters from the original musical. Mr. Mistopheles. I mean, he was in the musical, in the original musical, he was a confident, suave magician cat. You don't know he's a magician at first, but when the time is needed for him to be a magician, he is revealed to be a magician. A fantastic number that just shows him off in all his dance moves, and he brings back old Deuteronomy, and it's a great scene. In this movie, they turned him into a one-note bumbling idiot who trips over his own feet every 5 minutes. I'm not even kidding. In every scene he's in, he's literally tripping over something. He's like a shy, bumbling buffoon, and there's really no character to him whatsoever. And then we got Skimble Shanks, the railway cat. I love the railway cat song. I thought it was great. I always thought it was always been one of my favorite scenes because I always liked trains as a child. What the hell did they do to Skimble Shanks? Okay, this is also another problem that this movie has. Yeah, they introduce characters out of nowhere, and sometimes characters even just disappear and are never seen again. What? The best example is Skimbleshanks. You know who he is right away because one, he's an orange cat, and two, he's the only one wearing pants. What? Why is he wearing pants? and suspenders. Okay, why is he wearing pants? Why is he the only cat wearing pants? Except for this tiger growl guy. It's that character that they made up for the movie. No one cares about you. You stupid river cat thing. Seriously, you look like you have more in common with that stupid rat thing that was voted off on Face Off than you do with a cat. Anyway, Skibby Shanks, in the musical, in the original musical, he is a charming, fun, elegant character. In this movie, he has a terrible mustache and he tap dances. Yep, that's literally his character. He just tap dances. Why does the cat have tap shoes? But the biggest crime of all, well, actually, no, the second biggest crime of all, I'll get to the biggest crime of all later, is what they did with Macavity. Now, Idris Elba, you are a fantastic actor. You're one of my favorites of this past decade. You can play a great villain. Shere Khan, Star Trek, fantastic work on both those movies. Then what happened with Macavity? In the original musical, Macavity doesn't talk. We don't even get a motivation as to why he does what he does. He's kind of like the cat's version of Joker. You don't know what he wants. You don't know why he does what he does. He is just an agent of chaos who does it for the sheer fun of it. And my gosh, his visual design actually scared me as a child. I don't know how many times I watched the 90s movie and recoiled in fear whenever he was on screen. In this movie, he's a goofy, wide-eyed cat with magic powers? What? Okay, what kind of mushrooms were these people smoking? Whatever. When they were making this movie. My gosh. Like. Okay. Not to mention the fact that Macavity was also given one of, if not the lamest villain defeat of all time. Yeah, basically he tried to tag along with the chandelier hot air balloon thing. What happened to this Stairway to Heaven thing? That made a lot more sense. Anyways, yeah, he tried to tag along, couldn't hold his grip, and he ended up stranded on top of a statue and lost his magical powers? How did that happen? What happened? How? How did he lose his powers? That makes no sense. Okay, he just loses his powers randomly. Talk about anticlimactic. I don't know. This movie, it was just emotionally draining on all fronts. Nothing was consistent about it. I mean, heck, not only did the props look like a bunch of pieces of foam that you would buy at a Halloween seasonal store, none of them had consistent sizes. We had a turkey that looked like a standard turkey for a human being. I mean, if the cats were, humans, which they were, we had different size props within different scenes that just changed sizes for no reason. And then we got the other creatures, such as in earlier on in the movie, and where we got the infamous mice with children's faces. Oh my gosh, that is horrifying. Kill it with fire, please. Why are the mice that small? It makes no sense. On top of that, why are the mice children? Was it supposed to be cute? But it came off as horrifying instead. Why are the mice that small? Have you ever seen a mouse and a cat next to one another? That's like comparing the size of a regular sized human being with an actual mouse. The scales don't work! That and Rebel Wilson's character eats some of her cockroach dancers? My gosh, this is horrifying in all of the wrong ways. And I write horror shorts. And this movie scared me. And I talked about the inconsistencies of the sizes of the props. Well, let's talk about the cats and their environments. My gosh, a lot of the times they looked way too small for their environments. Especially when they're out in the streets and where they just seem like, I mean, do you know how big cats are? If you stand a cat on its hind legs, it's going to be about, up to my knee. I'm like 5'7", 5'8", something like that. A cat will go up to my knee. A lot of these cats in their environments look like they wouldn't even make it up to my ankle. So just inconsistencies in plot and everything else. Talk about a plain Jane. Was she supposed to be made sympathetic because she just came off as she's introduced, the cats immediately accept her as part of the group, and then for some reason, not one, not two, but 3 different cats start fawning over her as if she's a saucer of milk. Why? Because she's the main character / stand-in for the audience. Yeah, that's her only function. That's her only function. To stand there and smile and be as plain as Bella Swan. Yeah, basically this is a character design that is often found in young adult fiction, and where, well, let's just say that they're made purposely plain so that the reader can reflect themselves onto that character and imagine themselves in the story interacting with a bunch of more interesting characters. And that's exactly what they tried to do with Victoria, and it failed miserably. Again, who would ever want to hang out with these monstrosities? Now, yes, I have gone on about the many different wrongs that this movie committed to filmmaking, but I can safely say there was one redeeming quality that this movie had. And this sort of leads to the biggest crime that this film committed, and it kind of goes back to what I said in the beginning of this video, because, well, this is part of the video where I have to hold my tongue and eat my words. I was wrong about Taylor Swift. So my immediate suspicions of her being the worst thing about this movie were actually wrong. She actually turned out to be the only good thing about this movie. I mean, heck, the biggest crime this movie committed was underutilizing her. That's right, she was only in the movie for less than 5 minutes during the Macavity song sequence. And she was great. Not perfect. I mean, her trying to do an English accent didn't really work, but it was a great performance. Plus, it was the only time during the entire musical movie, if you can call it that, and where the choreography matched the music. Most of the time, they're either trying to act like stupid cats or having seizures. Either that or the stupid special effects were having glitches and they forgot to edit out the movie. I don't know. But again, her choreography worked. Her performance worked. And even after that scene, when they're on the boat again, her acting skills actually showed. even if she wasn't saying anything. You know, the way that she looked concerned and slowly realizing, like, hey, maybe I'm on the wrong side of things. Before Macavity, you know, made her disappear from the movie altogether? What? There's no redemption for her character? She just shows up and disappears within the next scene? What? Okay, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, that's not poor writing whatsoever. That was sarcasm, by the way. So yeah, she was greatly underutilized. Although the song that she wrote for this movie wasn't that good. The new songs that they added to this movie did not match with the rest of the soundtrack, and it just didn't work. On top of that, I've been saying that a lot in this video, they ruined the music. Yes, they a lot of times they did try to, how do you say, emulate some of the synthesized music of the 80s musical. But then there were times in where they went jazz? What? Let me get this straight. You turned one of the greatest orchestral soundtracks in all of Broadway history, and you turned it into jazz. But not even the good kind of jazz, the kind of jazz that you would listen to in an elevator. That's probably the closest that I can call this so-called music. You can definitely tell that most of the money went to either hiring this A-list cast or the stupid special effects that no one wanted. My gosh, Taylor Swift, of all people, the Razzie nominated Taylor Swift had a better performance than Oscar-winning Judi Dench or Ian McKellen. What kind of world am I living in? Not to mention Jennifer Hudson. What did they do to Jennifer Hudson? That and... Okay, look, I know she came in third place on American Idol. She's a great singer, Oscar nominated, but was just given so poor direction. It was just her singing and her performance, just like with everyone else in the cast except for Taylor Swift, it was a career low. Her performance was not that good. At times it was really hard to just understand what she was even saying, especially when she's singing Memory, aka one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Broadway song of all time. I don't know. I don't know if the movie was just miscast or just given poor directions, or they were focusing on, turning this movie into a stinking tech demo for special effects that, I will say again, no one asked for. This movie was just riddled with poor decision after poor decision after poor decision. It just came off as lazy. This is the laziest movie I have ever seen. When I came into this movie, I thought they were going to add more story, which was going to be the big problem. I was wrong. Instead, they tried to keep it as close to the original musical as possible, but then had these stupid inserts between them to try to establish some story. But in reality, it was just a bunch of exposition. And yeah, well, show but don't tell. That's all I'll say about it. Overall, Cats the Musical was a failure for a reason. No one wanted to see these ugly characters. No one wanted to see one of the greatest musicals of all time crapped upon by people that honestly thought that it was enough to have an A-list cast and the name Cats attached to this movie, and they didn't really need to try anything. People will just come and they can do whatever they want without trying anything new. And it failed, and it shows. Effectively, they have ruined Cats. They have ruined Cats the musical. They have crapped upon the legacy of one of the greatest Broadway musicals of all time. Tom Hooper, you should be ashamed of yourself for your poor direction and for making what I now consider to be the worst movie I have ever seen. It is the worst movie I have ever seen. Then again, I have not seen The Room yet, but something tells me that The Room would be more entertaining. Now, before I get on with my official scoring for this travesty of filmmaking, I wanted to make some notes here. Now, I did say on DeviantArt that on my Gemini Man review that was the worst movie of 2019 so far, and yeah, I can safely say now, Cats is worse than Gemini Man. Think about that for a minute. Second, previously, what I considered the worst movie of the decade was Leprechaun Origins. But hey, at least I actually laughed at some of the jokes in that movie, plus there were some inventive kills. None of that in Cats, although it looked like everything was trying to kill me. And the movie that I officially gave, or unofficially gave my lowest review ever, was Serial Mom. Yes, Serial Mom. I've only seen an hour of that movie, and I do not want to watch the rest of the movie. And I hated every minute of it. That movie is so stupid. So stupid, so poorly acted, nothing good about that movie from what I saw. So I gave that movie a 1 out of 5. Cats is worse than Serial Mom. I was going to give Cats a lower score, but Taylor Swift's performance, despite the fact that the whole catnip hypnotizing thing was completely stupid and silly, I actually enjoyed that scene. Up until Idris Elba started singing. Never let that man sing again! So, without further ado, I will give Cats, the movie, a 0.5 out of 5 and name it the worst movie I have ever seen. Well, I think I rambled on long enough. This has been emotionally draining. Just thinking about this stupid movie is giving me a headache. So, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. How about pushing that little subscribe button down there? You know, if it's red, that means you haven't subscribed yet. And how about hit that bell icon too while you're at it? Okay? Help this channel grow and improve, okay? Well, this has been the Mr. Writer speaking, and until next time, I hope the next movie I review isn't going to be as bad as Cats. Please don't let it be as Cats level bad. Sayonara!